What is up, guys? My name is John Dawson. If you don't know me, I am a general contractor, DIYer, how-toer, builder, whatever you can think about, I've probably done. Now I'm going to give you guys a breakdown. I'm actually standing on my future barn site for my horses, a stable that's going to be built here. And I wanted to bring this saw here to show you guys what Flex has done again. Now, disclaimer, or I don't know, maybe it's a claimer. I am not someone who torture tests tools in my garage. I'm not someone that gives reviews about tools that I've read about online while I sit in my office. I'm not someone who is going to find out if my drill sinks a screw a 16th faster than your drill. I could care less about every single one of those tests. Yeah, they're fun to watch. Go watch them. I'm not knocking on them. Me personally, as a contractor, as a builder, as someone who builds homes, remodels homes, builds barns, builds all type of stuff, I want to know, how does my tool hold up in the heat? How does my tool hold up if I drop it? How does my tool hold up if it gets a little bit of moisture on it? How does my tool function when it's rolling in the back of my truck, or if it gets, you know, whatever? That's what I'm curious about. I've never been on a job site where a guy is trying to make sure his drill is a 16th faster than his buddy's drill. No one cares. No one cares. I want to know, if it gets hot, is it going to blow up, or is it going to be able to cool down and still function? Right? I want to know, if I drop it off a roof, am I still going to be able to utilize that drill the rest of the day, or am I have to go get a new one? Right? Those are the things that I want to know. So I'm not giving you tool reviews on any tool that I haven't taken out on the job site and actually made cuts with, utilized. I want to say banged around, but I don't treat my tools as though they're for videos. Now, I did get my hands on this thanks to Flex. But also, I don't have a contract with Flex where I have to say anything positive. You guys have seen some of my other reviews where I've said I had some problems with a couple of Flex tools. That's fine. Flex is the awesome part about Flex, and I'll tell you this right now. I do have a relationship with Flex, but when I have a problem with a tool, they're never telling me, "Hey, John, don't say anything about it. Don't say anything about it." All they're wanting to do is, "Hey, what was your problem? What do you think caused the problem so we can be better?" And that's why I'm so heavily behind this brand. And people think that I'm getting paid to do this. I'm not. And the reason I'm doing that is because they're listening to me. When I say I don't like this Sawzall because the release blade, the way to release the blade is a little lame and frustrating to me, they're not mad that I'm telling you guys that. They're not mad that I'm telling them that. They're like, all right, let's think about this. How do we have a better release, you know, for our Sawzall blades, right? That's why this brand is so awesome, which is why they came out with this miter saw, this 12-inch, 24-volt miter saw. It's battery powered, but also comes with an AC to DC converter, so you can actually utilize this as a corded tool. This is a game changer. A lot of these battery operated tools can only be battery operated. So if you run out of battery, or you get stuck where your charger breaks, whatever the case may be, nowadays it doesn't happen as frequently because battery technology is so good. But if you want to set this up in your shop, if you want to set this up on a job site and you don't have to run through batteries, just go ahead and plug it in and you'll be good to go. Now, this tool comes bare tool for $5.99. It comes with a 10 amp hour battery for $7.99. And then you can also buy this separately. I am not sure the price of this, but I do think that you can run other tools off this. So if you're doing a circular saw, I'm pretty sure you could cord up your circular saw and use your circular saw off this. So this would be something good to just have, even if it's just for emergency, and you run out of battery power on the job in the middle of nowhere, and you just got to plug this into a generator and run your tool for a couple more hours of the day. This could be a great thing to just have in your trailer. Now let's dive into this. Let's dive into this tool here. This is the Flex Power Tool 24-volt brushless miter saw, and it's a compound miter saw. It can go 45 degrees on the left and the right. It can go 45 degrees left, and it can go 60 degrees to your right. Now, they've done a lot of things with this saw. I'll be honest with you, most of them are very minor. But if you're someone who uses a miter saw regularly, the minor things make a huge difference. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just run you through some of the things that I think are awesome about this saw. The first thing is this anti-tip leg. Up here in the front, there's an anti-tip leg. So you guys know, if your saw is sitting off the edge and you pull it forward, it rocks on you, right? This anti-tip saw, or anti-tip leg, when you set that on the table and I come up here, I have no tip because this leg is holding that saw. It has basically all points of pressure, so it's not tipping on me. The other aspect is this front button and this back button. So I can temporarily push down this front button and I can actually move the saw around, or I can push down the top button here and I can move the saw all the way without having to hold the button down. So it gives me full motion, and then whenever I'm at the spot, I press the front button, it locks up, I'm good to go. I press that down, I lock it up, and I'm good to go. So that's an awesome, awesome feature. The other cool features about this, I'm gonna kind of work my way up the saw, are these extended table arms. Now, most saws have extended arms. Usually they're pretty weak. They're usually just a bar, and they're flimsy, and they kind of rock around to where they're not actually level with the table. But this is an extension of the table. So it pulls out, and you have an extension of the table. The other aspect of this that's really cool is that the locking portion of it is super simple. So I currently have a DeWalt saw, and I've used the Milwaukee saws. I've used the Bosch saws. All of them great saws, but there's those little things that you're like, man, I wish this was a little bit easier. I wish this bolt didn't have to be screwed down with my fingers. I wish I could easily lever this off and move it around. And that's what Flex did here. These levers you can use if you have gloves on, you can use if you know your fingers are freezing. You can utilize all of this very easily with no problems. And they're just beautiful sliding. It's just amazing. I love it. These fences here are also very easy to utilize. You just flip down the lever in the back and you have a smooth sliding fence here, and I absolutely love it. It's amazing. And then when you have it in place, you just click that lever up. There's no problem. Both sides do this. This side does the same thing over here. So it's just really smooth to extend your table. I mean, again, flip a lever, you pull this out, flip a lever. They're locked in when you're done. Flip those levers, push them back where you want them. I mean, come on. The next thing I want to talk about, working my way up, this bevel here. So this lever has a couple different action points. So all the way down is locked. If you pull it forward, it'll give you a notch. So there's preset notches. If you pull it all the way forward and hold it, then you can have full range of motion here. So that's something that's kind of cool. Again, not a big game changer, but is something that can be utilized if you use a lot of different bevels. So really awesome setup there. Again, you have your typical locking point here in the back where you can lock down on your sliding rails, and then your saw can go down and you just have a little push lock to lock your saw in place. Same as pretty much any other saw. They make it really easy to do. Absolutely love it. The next thing that a lot of people don't talk about is the depth stop. Now, if you want to cut, say, a channel inside of a board and you want to leave 3/4 of an inch, or you want to leave a 1/2 inch, or whatever it is, a depth stop is a way to, as you can see, the saw stops, but I have it stopping below or above the channel there, the groove. So that's a depth stop. So I can keep that there, and then when I don't want that depth stop anymore, instead of having to change the actual depth of my screw, I can just flip down the depth stop and I can go all the way down. So if I have a couple different cuts that I have to make and I have a depth stop that does this, that means I can cut a couple boards with this depth stop in place rather than unscrew the bolt, right? Rather than screw that bolt all the way back and lose my measurement, I can make sure I have a consistent depth stop to where when I don't need it, I just flip this back and I can go to a full cut. And when I do need that exact same dimension cut again, I can just flip that depth stop up and I can then cut, you know, whatever that was that I was previously cutting. So that's an awesome feature that a lot of people don't talk about that actually comes in pretty handy. The next feature working my way up is obviously the battery port. So this can take any flex battery. Obviously your 10 amp hour battery is going to run you a little bit better time, but you can put any flex battery in here if you got to get a cut done and you only got something smaller. But the cool thing about it is that the battery runs in line with the whole saw, so you don't have anything bulky off to this side. You're not having to worry about it hitting anything. It's just all in line with the saw. You kind of don't notice it. It's almost like an extension of the motor. It's still smaller than my DeWalt motor, even with the battery. So really awesome setup here. The next thing on the top here that I would go to is the shadow stop. So a shadow stop or a shadow line, excuse me. The shadow line light basically casts a light, and you can see it here on the front of the saw right here. It casts a light that splits that blade in half. So you have a shadow on one side of the blade, a shadow on the other side of the blade. So as you pull your saw down, that shadow meets, and that shadow line, so wherever the shadow is where that cut's going to take place, which is a lot more accurate than a laser. Lasers can get bumped out of whack. They can just end up skewed. They can end up breaking. This shadow light is pretty much a foolproof way because it's lining itself up with the blade. So technically, if your blade's wrong, your shadow's going to be wrong, which means they're both right. if you know what I mean. But they're really durable. They stay in place. You don't have to worry about them. The light's an awesome feature. Now this saw has a dummy lock, which is just this little lever here on the top. You have to push it over before you can pull the trigger. Nothing crazy. A lot of saws have them. Some of them don't. I'm not really partial either way. It's just, you know, it just is. That's what they have. So I mean, it's a good little safety precaution, so you don't accidentally pull the blade, you know, if you're not trying to. So and moving away down, what I really love about this, because one thing that I found very annoying about changing specifically my DeWalt saw, my DeWalt miter saw, was the blade lock. I had to get my hand up in there and press that button, and then I had to pull down hold up the shield and get my ratchet in. It was just a pain. So here you have this locking mechanism where all I have to do is flip this down and it locks the blade in place. Obviously take your battery out before you mess with your blade in any way, right? Something to always remember when you're dealing with battery operated tools. Just like unplugging a plug tool, a corded tool, you want to take your battery out. I even pull the trigger a few times because sometimes there's a little energy left in there. You never know what type of magic's going on. Pull the trigger a couple times, make sure that the tool is completely dead, and then you can obviously get in here. But you can see now, I flip this down, and that saw locks, and now I can easily change that blade without having to use a second hand to hold it. So now I can hold my guard. I can get in here with the Allen wrench they provide here in the back, and I can go ahead and knock that thing off, swap my battery or swap my blade out, and we're good to go. Trying to think of what else do I want to talk to you guys about. There's a couple different spots here for locking in your miter saw. Now you can do, you know, some vice grips, not some vice grips, you can do some clamps, and you can do some bolts. If you're bolting it to a rail system or something like that, you can do that. If you want to just bolt it to a table, you can do that with a washer head. Just, it gives you options. It gives you lots of options. I've used this saw for about a week now. I absolutely love it. I haven't had any problems yet, but I tell people this all the time. If I've only been using it for a week, I couldn't possibly open up any cans of worms yet. So stay tuned to the channel and make sure to subscribe so that down the road you guys can see my other flex videos. Over time, as I use tools, I make more videos about them and say, hey, I've been using this tool for a year now, here's how it's looking, here's how it's working. Hey, I've been using this tool for 2 years now, here's how it's looking, here's how it's working. So that way you can always see that I'm telling you the honest truth. If this thing starts to poop out on me, oh, you better believe I'm gonna make a video about it pooping out on me. If it keeps killing it, you better believe I'm gonna make a video about it keep killing it. Yeah guys, I'm gonna cut a few boards for you guys just so you can kind of see it. I figure, I mean, it cuts like it cuts, so I'm going to do a couple for you guys right now. I went ahead and threw the flex blade back on for you for branding. Looks cool. I'm gonna make a few cuts with it. Let me know in the comments. Do you like this? Are you excited about it? Are you not excited about it? I'm curious what you guys' opinions are. Do you have one? Depending on when you're watching this video, they might be out to the public now. So just let me know in the comments what you think, and I'm gonna cut a few boards real quick.